We have talked about the traits, leadership traits, some of the theory or the characteristic of a leader. We talked about the advantages of the trait theory. We discussed about the leadership styles, the 7 types of leadership styles. We also discussed on the nature and advantages of the leadership traits. Today, I'd like to finish this topic by looking at the leadership skills. Now, what a leader is supposed to have. Remember, talk about the trait, talk about the attributes or the characteristics or the things you're supposed to possess. Now, the skills, we want to look at what's a leader. When you say you are a leader, when you're practicing a leader, the skills you're supposed to have. Generally, any person who is performing the management. Remember in your topic number 1, you learned about the contours and the ordinal, where they discussed about the skills of a person referred to him or her as manager. About the decision making, the technical skills, the human skills, and all that. So the leadership skills also, we're going to discuss the traits or the skills or the know-how. The skills is the know-how that a leader is supposed to possess. Now, any leader is supposed to possess 4 major skills in any field you're exercising your leadership. Either you are an autocratic or a bureaucratic or a laissez-faire or a transformational leader or a coaching leader. Any leader is supposed to exercise or to possess the 4 major skills. Skill number 1 supposed to possess is the technical skill, the know-how, the technical ability to deal with the situation that you are having. If you're a leader who is leading in mechanical engineering, then you're supposed to ensure that you have the knowledge of mechanical aspect. So technical skills just about the knowledge or the ability to perform the specialized task related to the field that you are operating on. So any leader is supposed to ensure that you have the technical skills with you. You're supposed to have the know-how, supposed to have the expertise in dealing in a particular field that you are exercising. In terms of the production, you should be knowing how do you produce an element, how do you manufacture them, how do you supply, how do you ensure that the product has come from the first stage up to the last stage. So as any leader, supposed to possess the technical skill. Number 2, supposed to have the human skill, the interpersonal skills. How do you relate with people? Remember, you say a leader is a person who can command people to follow him or follow her. So for you to be able to command people to follow you, for you to be able to command people to go your way and adhere to your rules or agree to follow or to do what you are supposed to tell them to do. You're supposed to have the interpersonal skill, the human skill. How do you relate with people? And this is a very, very important skill in any person who is either a leader or a manager. You're supposed to possess. So a human skill is very important because human skills help a manager or a leader to be able to relate with people, to be able to communicate with people, to be able to solve issues or problems of the people. So through the management level or a leader supposed to ensure that you have that interpersonal skills, that communication skill, that human ability skills, that human nature aspect on how to be able to relate with other human beings. Number 3 is about to have what's called the conceptual skill. Conceptual, it means you can be able to idealize items. You can be able to think. You can be able to make decisions. You can be able to come up or conceptualize on a particular event or particular item and be able to come up with a decision promptly. So conceptualized skill, a conceptual skill, is a skill that enables a leader to be able to view, to be able to plan, to be able to organize, to be able to ensure he can be able to see things from a distance, that That means it is brain-wise, the conceptual skill, the ability to be able to idealize, the ability to be able to plan, the ability to see the future, and then focusing on the thing that you have for you to be able to achieve on the future. And lastly, how the personal skill. The personal skill is a very, very important skill to any leader. Now, personal skill, it is a skill that enables people to be able to manage their anger, to manage their emotions, to have stability, to have personal motivation, to have integrity, to have the flexibility of the mind. So personal skills, it's more dealing with the human aspect, able to be able to manage your emotions, you can be able to think clearly, can be able to be sober in your mind, can be able to have the flexibility, you're not very rigid, you can be able to accept the changes, because not every situation will always go the way you plan. So some situations, they always go against the way you have planned. So as a leader, you're supposed to be very sober and able to be able to manage those emotions. Remember, you are leading or you are managing a group of individuals who trust you, who have been able to ensure that they put everything that they have in you. So it is upon you to ensure that you lead them safely. You'll be able to guide them safely. You'll be able to make decisions with sobriety without being affected by the environment or without being affected by the condition that you are subjected, you have been subjected into. So any leader or any manager is supposed to ensure you have the 4 major skills. That is the technical skills, which is the know-how or the expertise skill, then the human skills, that is the interpersonal skill, the conceptual skills, that the aspect of being able to idealize the future and navigate through the future, through the present, to be able to achieve the future, and the personal skills, which is now the ability to balance the emotions that you're able to have. Something about you need to understand about this topic number 6, about the formulation of an organization strategic direction. Now, as a leader, remember, we are looking about how can a leader be able to improve on the leadership aspect, from the traits now to the skills, now on how we can be able to come up with the strategic directions. Now, anytime we talk about a strategic something, strategic advantage, strategic direction, strategic importance, the word strategic in this case, it means the ability to be able to influence others and be able to maintain the present. So strategic, it gives ability for any leader to be able to understand the environment, focuses on the resources, as well as achieving the future goals. So a strategy, it's a course of action. A strategy, it's a long-term scope. A strategy, it's a plan on how you want to achieve things. So from our says that a strategy is a long-term direction and scope of the organization. Scope is just the area in which a leader can be able to exercise mandate, an area in which a leader can be able to influence about the scope. So matching its resources in its changing environment, in a particular its market, their customers or clients, to meet stakeholders' expectations. So a strategy is just a course of action which a leader can be able to take in order to achieve the future goals. Or a strategy, you can say it's a plan of action. How do you want to do things? How have you planned for you to be able to embark on the journey towards achieving the future? That refers to what refers as the strategy. So according to Alfred Chandler, a strategy is a determination of the basic long goals and objective of an enterprise and adoption of the course of action and allocation of the resources necessary to achieve those goals. So just in short, a strategy is a course of action, or it's a plan, or it's a scheme to which a leader can be able to exercise in order to be able to achieve the future set goals. So features of any strategy, features of a strategy. When you say I'm having a strategy on how I can go to pass my exam, it is a course of action. How are you doing it? Another person can say, maybe my plan for me to be able to pass my exam is through revision papers. Another can say it's through the group discussion. Another can say it's by attending the classes. Another can be able to say is by forming groups and then you start discussing. So all of those are strategies. So look about the way in which you can be able to use in order to achieve the goals which has been set in the future. So any feature of a strategy concerns with the long-term objective. The reason why you are adopting or you are setting strategies is that you want to achieve a long-term objective. You want to achieve something which is in the future, something that it is far from you, but you want to come up with the plans which you can be able to achieve that something that is the long-term goals. Number two, it defines the resource course of actions which a business needs to follow in order to attain the objectives. Now, it means that one of the features of a strategy, it gives you a roadmap on how to can be able to achieve the future, or it gives you a map, it gives you a clear picture on how you can be able to achieve the future. Number three is that a strategy is dynamic in nature. Strategies keep on changing depending on the environment. Remember, when you have made your strategies, when you have come up with your strategies, and then this strategy is rigid, it cannot be changed, it is inflexible, it cannot be able to be amended. These kind of strategies cannot help you in able to achieve the future. You need to ensure that you have a strategy which is dynamic, which can keep on changing depending on the environment, for you to be able to achieve the future, for you to be able to achieve the set goal. So as a leader, you need to come up with a strategy which can be adopted very easily and which can be able to adopt or be able to survive in case the environment changes. Number next is that a strategy provides a high combination of internal and external factors affecting the organization ability to perform activity towards established goals. In short, we are saying a strategy helps you identify the perfect combination for you to be able to achieve the future objective. So a strategy, apart from having a roadmap on how you're about to achieve, it also gives you a way, it also gives you ways in which you can be able to combine the resources or to use the available resources to achieve the future goals. The other things about a strategy formulates by the top level management. Just from the word strategy, our strategic. Remember, under the levels of management, we have the three major levels of management. The first level of management, we call it the top level management or the strategic level. That means this is a level which deals with the strategic advantages of the firm, or it's a level which deals with the long-term goals of the organization. Remember, we talk about the characteristics of a three level of management. For the first one, they represent the organization to the outside environment. They come up with the long-term goals. They ensure that there's available resources to be used by the organization. They ensure that they hire, they fire the different personnel to be able to run within the organization. They ensure that the resources are available. So the strategies most of the times are going to be come up with them by the strategic level of management. Remember, the top level of management, the other name for them, we are referring to that as what? The strategic level. So for these strategies are going to mostly being formulated by the top level management. And then they're going to now pass the strategies from what they want to achieve to be achieved to the people who are going to actually idealize the strategies. Number next, the strategies are pervasive in nature. It means it can be used by any person in any field, in any environment. That's the meaning of the pervasiveness. Pervasiveness means it can be used by every individuals within the level or within the leadership aspect. So anyone who is in the leadership, anyone who is exercising leadership can be able to have the strategies on how to convince, on how to gain more people, gain more individuals within the organization. Number next is that it enables a business to perform in performing its competition by efficient allocation of scarce resources. We are saying a strategy, other than helping you to achieve the future, it also enables you to be able to work efficiently. Because remember, in the industry, you're not alone. You have different firms, and therefore these different firms are competing with the same customers, are competing with the same individual. Therefore, we're going to be helping you as a manager or as a leader to ensure that you come up with the best strategies which can be able to help you to sustain you, no matter the environment that you have been subjected to. So the strategic, the aspect of the strategies, it enables you to be able to perform better and be able to even go beyond your competitors. And lastly, that our strategies are forward-looking, and they are formulated and implemented for attaining the farm object. That's what I've said. Strategy just helping in focusing on the future, on how you can be able to achieve the future. Now, let's look at the level of strategies. Levels of strategies. Now, there are 4 major levels of strategy. Just the way we have the 3 major levels of management, in this case, we have the 4 major levels of strategy. Number 1 is the corporate strategy. Then you have the competitive strategy, then you have operational strategy, and functional strategy. Now, from the hierarchy of management, you have the top, the middle, and the lower. For the top, they're going to deal with the corporate. For the middle, they're going to deal with the functional. For the last one, the lower, they're going to deal with the operational strategy because they deal with the day-to-day activities of the organization. So a corporate strategy are influenced by the missions of the organization. They address the following issues: overall scope of the organization, how an organization is going to manage its structure and financial resources, how resources are allocated. These are the same case that we have discussed about the level of management and their functions. So when they're having, even if they're having out there the aspect of maybe an industry or a farm or a corporate, they are going to be subjected to the same advantages of the aspect of the corporate level. So corporate level, this comprises of the top level management and any other person with skills. Therefore, for the corporate level, going to be influenced mostly by the environment that they're or the mission that the organization has been subjected to. Then I'm talking about the competitive business strategy. And this is a very important strategy to any business. Any business needs to ensure that you have what you call a strategic advantage. Do you have an edge over the other companies or the other firms within the industry? Where you are situated, can you be able to command more clients and be able to retain even the previous clients? Can the customer come and prefer your product other than someone else's product? So when they do that, you can say you are having a strategic importance because you can be able to manage, retain, as well as attract more clients. So for this, the competitive or business strategy, say these strategies are adopted to strengthen the position of the organization in the market. They can include how to compete in the market, the extent to which customers needs are met, which products or services should be developed and offered the which market, and is it possible to achieve objective organization long-term profitability, market growth, and efficiency. So you're saying that this kind of a level strategy is just helping a firm to be able to obtain a competitive advantage over the other firms within the industry. By saying competitive advantage, you mean your products are affordable, that means they are maybe cheap, your products are readily available, your products are best of quality, so that is all aspects which contributes to what we're referring to as a strategic advantage. Do you have after-sales service? For example, if you are dealing with hardware or we're dealing with a big company, maybe a client has come and bought the books. Do you follow up to check how are these books? Have they been maintained well? How can I advise them to maintain their things properly and so forth? Number 9 is a lot of operational strategy. Just from the word operational comes from the word operational level, and the operational level, it just means it is a level which you're able to pass the information from the one sender to the other. So operational strategies, these are strategies that are adopted at functional level and are discussed at the functional or operational level, ultimately enables the organization to achieve corporate level of competitive advantage. So the operational strategy just helping the manager to be able to align themselves in order to achieve the future. And last, we have the functional strategy. And a functional strategy is it is in reality the departmental or the division strategies signed for each organizational function. So this is just a way on how you can be able to appreciate the young ones, how about to appreciate your fathers, how about to appreciate your parents, and all that. Importance of strategy. Why do we need a strategy? It helps in decision making. It helps in a decision in pure or provide the provision, direction, and actions. It also helps in identifying the trends and opportunity. It also helps in you to be accountable of what you're doing. It also helps in the resource. It also helps in the competitive advantage. And say, for when you say you have a competitive advantage, is that a customer has come and prefer someone else's product to your product. In that case, you say you do not have what you refer to as what? Strategic advantage. The other thing is about help in resource sharing. It also helps in framework of decision making, and lastly, can also help in ensuring that you improve communication and commitment within the organization. Any question? Iko swali? Any question?
I have a question.
Iko swali?
Yes, I have.
Yes, I did.
I came across a question. That was asking the characteristics of strategic management decision at each level.
The characteristic of what?
Strategic management decisions at each level of strategy.
Now, in that case, anakuuliza about the level of management. Number one, he's testing you two things. He's testing you, do you know the level of management? That is one. Number two, do you know the functionality of those levels? And do three, know the strategic advantage and how is it applied by the three levels of management? That is what exactly he was asking you. So when you're answering, you say management or Talk about there are three major levels of management: the strategic, the tactical, and the operational level. And then from there, you now explain on the importance of strategy to the management in strategic level, to the management under the middle, to the management under the lower level of management.
Then another question.
Yes.
On the leadership skills.
Yes.
I saw the leadership skills are resembling the management skills. Can they be used interchangeably when you come across a question?
Ati, hebu sijasikia part ya mwisho.
I'm saying the leadership skills resembles the management skills. So if you come across a question where you are asked about the leadership skills, can you apply the management skills under the leadership skills? Because the leadership skills have only stated 4 and the management skills has many. So can you use the management skills on leadership skills?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. In this case, nikisema 4, I don't mean there are only 4. Like I can break down the human skills. Remember when you are looking about the management, you discuss about the management skills, decision making, talk about the human skills, the conceptualize, all those skills you can also be able to apply. So when say we have the human, the technical, the other skills, I'm just summarizing all other skills in there, but you can be able to use interchangeably. Very much allowed.
Okay. Thank you.
Karibu. Now, the strategies, you just need to know which level of strategy uses. For example, the top level advantage of the, why is it used in the top level? Why is it used in the middle? Why is it used on the lower S? Any other question? Now, importance of strategy. In topic number 1, you learned about the role of management. Sindio? Did you look at the role of managing? Ama the role of a manager? Yes. Now, for the role of manager, now you know the importance of strategies. Decision making, it provides the action and plan. It also helps in providing the trends and opportunity. It also helps in accountability. It also helps in allocation of the resources, which is a very, very important skill. It also helps in providing framework for decision making. And lastly, it helps in achieving the competitive. And I've said, and I'm repeating again, anytime you face the question on the competitive advantage, is that it is just a meaning, it is just means that a company has an added edge over there, other companies, but within the same locality. Scope of strategic management. Now for the scope, it is how far, to what extent can you be able to handle? Then you have the importance of strategic management, and lastly, the limitation of strategic management. Let's take a break of 5 minutes and then you come to look at the conflict resolution mechanism. How do we handle conflicts? How do we handle problems? How do we handle quarrels? Remember, in every company, in every family, there must be quarrels, must be sometimes people are conflicting one another, but at the time you are getting out of this class, you need to know how best you can be able to handle some issues. So 5 minutes break, and then you come to look at what is what called the conflict resolution mechanism. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Conflict resolution mechanism. What is conflict? What is conflict? When you say we have conflict with so and so, what is that I'm having? Conflict just means the clash of ideas or the clash that occurs due to the in agreement, dispute. Yes, Ruth. Thank you, Ruth. In agreement or dispute or the clash of ideas between the need and the expectation, between what we are expecting and actually what you are having. That is what's called conflict. Now, types of conflict, we have different types of conflict. Number one, we have inter-individual conflict. And this arises due to the frustrations, and frustration arises due to inability between the perceived goal and the actual goal. When individual employee encounter goals in cognitive, they can also become aggressive and frustrated. So intra-individual, it is more of achieving the target. If you have achieved the target, you feel good. If you want to achieve the target, then you try to look at the deviation or differences between what you actually have done and what you actually have not achieved. What are there? The inter-individual. Then you have interpersonal conflict, and this arises to personal differences. Sometimes you see siblings, sometimes they fight because of the assets. But this, remember, these are not because their siblings, no, but it arises because of the personal differences or the way different person has different ability, have a different attitude, have the different persona. So the difference between these two people, these two inability people to be able to raise, agree, and also solve amicably, it can also be a source of a great conflict. That is about the intergroup. The group is conflict. This is a group. It's a conflict which arises due to the merging and the using of the group. And last, we have the organizational conflict, and this is what we call the organizational stress, where you have you have been fired, somebody, be officer, talking to you rudely and all that. So the intra-individual, the interpersonal, the intergroup, and the organizational conflict are part of what we're referring to as a conflict or the disagreement in the management or in the thinking of the management. Causes of conflict, what prompts this conflict to be there? Number one, you have the work environment. Sometimes you're working, you are tired, and then you go home, someone is talking to you rudely, is talking to you in a way that you cannot be able to comprehend. In that aspect, you're going to feel exhausted, you're going to feel tired, you're going to feel that if you're not well. That aspect, you're going to create conflict. Because I say a conflict is a deviation between the actual and the expected. So when there is a very high disparative nature, then they're going to form what we call a tribunal to discuss. If it's a minor, then they're going to give it and every individual. So the other thing about the goal conflict, and lastly, the individual conflict. Are you able to buy that one and all that? So levels of conflict, even if we have the different types of conflict, we may have the different levels also of conflict. Just like the types of conflict we have discussed, just like the types of conflict are the same way as the levels of conflict. Either the interpersonal, then we have the interpersonal, the group, and that's the international stuff. The method for conflict resolution. How do we resolve? In case a dispute has happened, how can we solve it? How can we be able to maneuver on it? And one is about negotiation. It's whereby you talk. We talk, we understand one another, we come up with an amicable solution without hurting the other, without even making the other person feel jealous or feel bad. So that aspect about the negotiation. How we can be able to solve is within either using the 3 people or using the extra personnel. Now, the negotiation is very important because it helps the other party to understand the other person also in detail. Then we have conciliation. Conciliation is a settlement of conflict by consensus or by those concerned through involvement of a third party known as conciliator. For example, like what happened in Kenya in 2007, where the Kibaki regime and the deputy prime minister regime were conflicting. Then we had to have a Kofi Annan to come and try to make them understand one another, to love one another. We call that a person, a mediator, a conciliator, where he tries to reconcile. He tries to help people to be able to understand one another. Remember, the reason why most of the times we are having the conflict is a lack of communication. And therefore, when there is a good communication, when there's a good node, then you can be able to understand one another, can be able to help one another. You can be able to ensure that they understand and they reduce the aspect of the conflict. Then you have the mediation. Mediator, this is always a third party who is recognized, authorized. I think we talk about a mediator, is the person most times is authorized or is recognized, and its aim is ensuring the party within the dispute reconcile their differences and be able to work together as a team. Then we have a arbitrator. Now, a question may come: what's the difference between a conciliator, a mediator, and an arbitrator? Maybe you can do that as assignment. What's the difference between the 3 people, a mediator, a conciliator, and an arbitrator? Now, an arbitrator, most of the times, it involves the third party who, either voluntarily or mandatorily, can be able to ensure people are be able to work together. They are able to reduce the differences between them. And lastly, we have the litigation, where you go there the law way. You follow the rules, you follow the court structure, the litigation, where you have you want to exercise now your legal rights. You want to exercise your rights within the conflict on how you can be able to solve it. Now, ethics in leadership, it's very, very important. Professional ethics is it's a norm, or ethics is an acceptable standard that a person or a leader needs to adhere to. For example, you as a person within the organization, or as a manager, there's some professionalism, there's some ethics, there's some standards, there's some norms which are acceptable, or which you are supposed to ensure you have them for you to be able to work within the organization. So principle or ethical leadership, any leader, ethical leader, must respect one another. You must be able to serve others. You must be able to lead by just, that means equity. You are able to lead honestly. You are able to also to build trust between the community. Then characteristics of ethical leader. Every leader must be considerate and thoughtful. You need to put yourself in that someone's shoe, to be to yourself in the other leader's shoes, and be able to understand in detail, if you were them, what extra, what bad thing, or what different thing could you be able to make. Then you be thoughtful. Thoughtful means you think of the others more highly than even you think of yourself. Then you need to be respectful and kind-hearted. You don't need to be shouting just because you are a leader. Either you have been appointed or you appoint yourself, or it's through your characters that you have been placed there. So you need to ensure you trust, you can respect, and also you are kind-hearted. You can be able to feel remorse. You can be able to apologize and all, but then you need to also to serve others. Remember, as a leader, your extremely major aim is to serve people, is to serve individuals, is to serve your followers. So you as a leader, you need to ensure that you are able to serve the others. It means you can able to practice the ethical leaders within your estate. Then you can have what we call the positive thinking. You also need to think right, think positively. Don't always be a negative person. Always have an attitude to attain the future in terms of what you have been assigned to you. Then you have the integrity, then you have the communication, then you have the zero tolerance of ethical violation. For example, you are a leader, you have been appointed, instead of now the ladies to work, you disturb them very late every night, and all that means that is what to call one of the source of the conflict. So one of the characteristics ensuring that you have a zero tolerance. That means you don't depend, you don't give them out, you don't give them that ability to express themselves in that order. So that marks the end of that topic. That marks the end of that topic on the character on there, what we call the leadership traits. Any question? Iko swali? Any question? Hamna swali? Sadia anasema yeye hana swali. If we don't have a question, it is not wise for us. What's the difference between a plan and a strategy? Which one defines the other? Thank you. What's a plan? A plan is a blueprint. A plan is a blueprint of what you want to achieve in the future. A strategy is a plan on how you can go to achieve what you have set. A plan explains the strategy. Umeshika Edu. A plan is a blueprint. It's an imagination of what you are imagining on how you can go to achieve it. That is a plan. Sawa? Plan is a blueprint, a strategy is just a plan. It's a deliberate action. Why deliberate? Because you sit down, you evaluate. For example, you ask yourself, how will I pass this LM? You come up with the mechanisms. I will do this, I'll get to class, and then each and every day, I'll have like 30 minutes. I read a particular aspect in LM, and then I can do FM and something else. That means you have the strategy. But I say you have a plan is where you are, you know, I need to achieve 1, 2, 3 in the future. There's a plan. And then you use the strategies in order for you to achieve what you are about to set as a plan. Are we together? Any other question? Any? Understood. Thank you. I'm waiting for a question or something. I want us to write something very small. Something very small. Types of organizational strategies. Types of organizational strategies. Types of organizational strategies. No, types of organizational strategies. Types of organizational strategies. And you say, you write, we are writing, huh? We are writing. We say, strategy is simply defined. Strategy is simply defined as the formulation of the basic organizational mission. Strategy is simply defined as the formulation of the basic organizational mission, purpose, and objectives. Purpose and objectives, comma, policies and programs, to be achieved. Policies and programs to be achieved. And the method needed. And the method needed to ensure, that organizational ends are achieved. To ensure that the organizational ends are achieved. Ends are achieved. Continue and say, organizational strategies includes number 1, retrenchment strategy. Retrenchment strategy. And say, this involves the reduction. This involves the reduction in the level of operation. This involves the reduction in the level of strategy. This involves the reduction in the level of operation. Strategy. This involves the reduction in the level of operation of the organization. This involves the reduction in the level of operation of the organization becoming captive to another organization. This involves the reduction in the level of operation of the organization, comma, becoming captive to another organization, becoming captive to another organization, and selling or dissolving the organization. And selling or dissolving the organization. Okay, this strategy is widely used in difficult times, or in recession period. In difficult times or in recession period. Number 2, we have stability strategy. Stability strategies. And say, this strategy is followed. This strategy is followed when the organization is satisfied. This strategy is followed when the organization is satisfied with the present course of action. When the organization is satisfied with the present course of action aimed at eliminating the weaknesses. Aimed at eliminating the weaknesses and maintaining the status quo. Aimed at eliminating the weaknesses and maintaining the status quo. Quo is Q-U-O. Say organization conditioned to this type of strategy, have difficulty reacting to sudden or radical change. Number 3, the growth strategy. And say, This strategy is followed. This strategy is followed when the organization makes a conscious effort. This strategy is followed when the organization makes a conscious effort to grow. A conscious effort to grow or expand. To grow or expand. Say, this strategy is necessary. This strategy is necessary in changing environment. This strategy is necessary in changing environment, e.g., in internal and external growth. In internal and external growth. And lastly, we have combination strategy. Combination strategy. And say, this involves combining strategies such as retrenchment and stability. Number 2, retrenchment and growth. Retrenchment and growth. Next, stability and retrenchment. Stability and retrenchment. And lastly, stability and growth, etc. Stability and growth, etc. NB. This is done when there is no suitable. This is done when there is no suitable single strategy. When there is no suitable single strategy for the organization to implement. For the organization to implement. NB, a small NB. Say, the study of strategic management. The study of strategic management emphasizes, the study of strategic management emphasizes on the monitoring and evaluating, of external opportunities, monitoring and evaluating external opportunities and threats. Opportunities and threats in light of the corporation strength and weaknesses. and weaknesses. You say, the basic element of strategic management process includes the basic element of strategic management process includes one, environmental scanning. One, environmental scanning. You put a hyphen and say, its purpose is to identify strategic factors. Its purpose is to identify strategic factors factors that will determine the future of organization. That will determine the future of the organization. And say, the simplest way to conduct environmental scanning, the simplest way to conduct environmental scanning is through the SWOT analysis. The simplest way to conduct environmental scanning is through the SWOT analysis. Number 2, strategic formulation. Strategic formulation. I say it involves defining the corporate mission. It involves defining the corporate mission, specifying their achievable objectives, specifying the achievable objectives, developing strategies, and setting policy guidelines, Number 3, strategy implementation. Strategy implementation. And so it is a process by which strategies and policies are put into action. Through the development of the programs. Budgets and procedures. And lastly, evaluation and control. And say this is a process in which corporate activities and performance results are monitored. So that the actual performance can be compared with the desired performance. Can be compared with the desired performance. Can be compared with the desired performance. Desired performance. Now that marks the end of that topic. In our next lesson, we are going to topic number 8. Any question? Swali? Kama hamna question, I wish you all the best. Good night and see you on Thursday.